Hey guys, what is going on? McMole2 here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you exclusive footage of the Ewoks courtesy of Jesse and the developers over at Capital Games. This is footage they're giving all of the game changers so we can take a look at the Ewoks, we can discuss their kits, talk about just how good they look and whether or not they're going to be something that you could use in the arena. So I'm going to do a theory crafting video like I've done with Thrawn and Ahsoka before, so I'll talk about their kits with the new Ewoks. I'll throw out some different teams that you could use for either the raid or the arena. And then also talk a little bit about their viability for the arena. There's some concerns there I've got, so we'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk about whether or not they're a team that you could possibly use in the raid as well. So you have your three new Ewoks. First you have Paploo. He is your new Ewok tank. His basic deals physical damage and dispels buffs from a target enemy. There's an Omega there where if an Ewok ally calls Paploo to assist, they also gain defense up. His first special is called Diversion. It deals physical damage, inflicts speed down, and Paploo also gains taunt. His second special is called Galvanize, dispels all debuffs from Paploo and the other ally. If that ally is an Ewok, there is called to assist and gains 10% turn meter. And then his unique has a Zeta. The unique is called Don't Hold Back. Whenever Paploo gains a stats effect, he recovers 5% health. Whenever he gains stealth, he dispels stealth, gains taunt, and has 25% bonus speed when he does not have taunt active. And his Zeta causes him to regain 5% protection whenever he gains a stats effect. You can see his stats here. He's got a decent amount of health and protection, a little slow on the speed, and some decent tenacity as well. So he's okay for the stats you have here on the tank for him. So overall, he's not a really bad tank. Wicket is your new Ewok damager. He's going to be your basic main damage dealer for your Ewoks overall. He's really going to be dealing a lot of damage. His first basic is called Inquisitive Jab. Deals physical damage and gains critical chance up for 2 turns. If an Ewok ally assists, they also gain critical chance up. His first special is called Forest Ambush. It deals physical damage to all enemies, and then Ewok allies gain 10% turn meter for each critical hit scored. This animation is actually him basically calling down an arrow barrage. It's a really cool animation. You'll see it in some of the videos that I've showed during this fight. The Omega here adds a -1 cooldown and the 5% turn meter gain. Second special is called Guerrilla Strike, deals physical damage to target enemy, and calls another ally to assist. If that ally is an Ewok, Wicket, and that ally gains stealth for 2 turns. He basically kind of throws a knife and then calls in the ally to assist. It's really cool. And then his unique is called Furtive Tactics. He gains 10% crit damage for each living Ewok ally and each stealth ally at the end of each of his turns. Wicket has a 50% chance to take another turn, and this is reduced to 10% if this effect is triggered in the previous turn. Mouthful there, it's a really long novel. And then the Zeta for them adds that whenever Ewok scores a critical hit, all Ewok allies recover 4% health and 2% protection. It's a decent Zeta. We'll see overall as this game goes on. We'll see just how good it is. You can see he's got some pretty decent speed, about 150. So he's going to be a pretty fast Ewok as it is. He's got a decently high crit chance. You may have seen almost 45%. So he's going to be having a lot of crit chance on his own. So really, he's going to be your main damage dealer. Going to hit hard and he's going to hit fast with all those critical hits. And then finally, you have Logray. He's your new Ewok support. His base attack is Mystical Strike, deals physical damage to target enemy, and gains tenacity up for 2 turns. Assisting Ewok also gains tenacity up. His first special is called Hypnotize, dispels all buffs and removes 100% turn meter from target enemy, dazed to all enemies for 2 turns, and this attack cannot be evaded. His second special is called Prophetic Visions. All allies gain 20% turn meter. Ewok allies gain Foresight, Advantage, and Offense up for 2 turns with the Omega upgrade. His unique is called Shaman's Insight. Whenever an Ewok ally scores a critical hit, Logray has a 100% chance to gain 5% turn meter. The Zeta adds that whenever Logray is active, an Ewok ally scores a critical hit, that ally gains health up for 2 turns, and then all Ewok allies with health up recover 10% health. So big mouthful there for that Zeta unique as well. As you can see, he is a tactics-based character. You can see he's got a decent amount of health and protection, about 20,000 each, about 127 speed, so he's a little slower. His tenacity is about 31%, and his crit is sitting at about 25%, so not a lot of crit there. So he's really going to have to get buffed up with his crit chance thanks to mods. So that is it for the Ewoks. So let's go ahead and take a look at how they work in the arena and raids. For Ewoks, with their synergies, as you could see in their kits, they rely a lot on assists and a lot of critical hits. They're basically a light side version of the First Order team, where there's a lot of, instead of advantage, they gain a lot of crit chance up with their uniques and their assists, and they have a lot of assists called into between Zeta Chirpa and all these abilities where you can call an assist. So really, they're like a first order team on the light side. So that is their strength in that they can deal out a lot of attacks pretty quickly and in a short amount of time. You can do 10 attacks to basically 1 attack from the enemy team. But the main drawback here is that their attacks do not deal a lot of damage. You have some decent damage from Wicket and some decent damage from Ewok Scout. But beyond that, the other characters just don't deal out damage like they should be. Paploo, his basic is officially the weakest hitting basic in the game with only a base damage of 1300. That is by far the weakest, so you're really not going to get a lot of damage from Paploo. Ewok Elder is more there for giving Terminator to your team and kind of healing up and recovering from debuffs and reviving. He's not there for really damage, he's there to just keep your team alive. Logray is sort of a support character. He's going to be helping with the dazes and reducing Terminator on the other team. And Chirpa is more of your leadership ability with the Zeta on there calling the assist whenever they use special abilities. But really, at the end of the day, you've got Wicket and Ewok Scout that can actually deal damage for an Ewok team, and that's just not enough for this team. You need more damage dealing abilities, you need harder hitting abilities for the other Ewoks to really give them a chance. And that is going to go into problems with the current meta, which is all about negating and countering critical hits from the enemy team. You have the Rex lead, which gives Terminator on critical hits. You have General Kenobi, which taunts on critical hits and gives the person who got hit with crit hit immunity. Shore Trooper is popular with his critical immunity for his entire team. You have Barris with the Zeta on her unique, where the target, whenever they get critically hit, they heal back a decent amount of damage. And then you have Chirrut, who gives heal over times on critical hits. So really, there's a lot of meta characters that really negate critical hits from the other team, and that's where it's coming in, is that you just don't have enough damage coming from Ewoks here to really counter a full team that's going to have that countering for the critical hits. So a team with Kenobi and Zeta Barris alone could pretty much shut down your Ewok team. You can see here with some of these teams, they're doing alright on offense. You'll see here with the Sith, they struggle mightily. They just don't have the ability to do damage like they should be. You can see the Dazes is pretty much shutting down their abilities to assist, so they can't get in all those attacks in. They can't do their critical hits because stealth targets can't be critically hit under a Zal lead. So really, under a Zal team, they were lucky to win this fight in the end. On offense or on defense, there is no way this team would have ever succeeded. And this goes to the main problem where, yeah, it's a decent team for offense, but at the end of the day, you're just not going to be able to hold this team on defense, especially if you're up in the top 100 of your arena. It's going to get torn apart pretty quickly, and there's just no way you're going to be hold on to those spots. So if you're looking to get out of the top 100 on your arena chart, this is definitely a team that you want to go for. You could definitely try to do some heroic videos of you pushing all the way back up with Ewoks, but really it's just going to be an exercise in frustration, and it's just not worth it. So for Arena, I would say this is not a new meta-worthy team like some people were hoping. They're hoping that with the Zeta on Chirpa and with these new Ewoks, maybe there's going to be something there that can help them become Arena meta, but it's just not going to be like a top-tier team like many people were hoping for Phoenix. This is going to be more of a B-tier team like your Phoenix squad is, where it can do some decent stuff and it has a lot of synergies like your Phoenix squad, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be meta-defining or meta-breaking. So for Arena, definitely only go for them if you want to try something funny, if you want to try something new. But if you're looking to stay in your top 100 of your arena, I highly recommend against running an Ewok team. Like I said before, they may attack fast and they may attack often, but they lack overall damage, and that just makes them not be up to snuff for challenging the current meta that takes advantage of all those critical hits. When it comes to the raids, these Ewoks can be a viable team for Phase 2 or even Phase 4. You notice with all of the synergies with the new Ewoks, there's going to be a lot of buffs going out. So you could definitely use them in Phase 4. All those buffs are going to help them survive the Firestorm attack whenever the tank comes back up. So if you're looking for a decent team for Phase 4, you could definitely try Ewoks. However, it should be noted that your clones and resistance teams can do a lot more damage with only one Zeta compared to the probably two Zetas that you're going to need to get the max damage out of this team for those two phases. But definitely, if you have these Ewoks geared up and you don't have your clones resistance, definitely look at using them in one of those two phases, because they're still going to be able to deal a decent amount of damage. You can see here they're getting a lot of assists, a lot of basic attacks in, and with that Zeta Trooper lead, they're getting a lot of turn meter, and they're doing more damage on their basic attacks. So with all of that bonuses added in, they're really hitting fast and they're really hitting often, and that's kind of making up for the fact that Paplu himself doesn't deal a lot of damage. You'll see he'll crit for a good 6k in this fight overall, but Paplu does have a speed down on his taunt, and that is important because you can use that to expand on the topple phases for the tank with that speed down. It really helps pack in more damage with the Ewoks. So bringing Paplu along is probably going to be vital for increasing your damage overall on the tank, and that kind of hurts considering he does so little damage. So yeah, I'll probably look at maybe trying to get some new Ewoks for the raid. I may just wait for them to go free to play. It's kind of hard for me to invest in what looks like I'll need at least 2 new Ewoks to get the best damage return. So let me know what you guys think, if this is something I should definitely pursue is in going for all these new Ewoks. But when it comes to the Rancor, we don't have any Rancor footage, unfortunately. But it should be noted that with Logray, you have that new special ability where he removes 100% turn meter, and you already have Tebow. Whenever he stealth and uses basic, it removes 100% turn meter, and then Ewok Ally removes 60% turn meter on his basic attack. So you're really getting a lot of turn meter removal with these Ewoks, and that's going to be able to help them with soloing the Rancor potentially. Wicket, you've seen with his special, he calls in a targeted assist, so you can use that with Tebow or Scout to reduce turn meter. But I should note that they naturally have low potency, so you're going to need to stack up a lot of potency on these characters to really make sure that they remove turn meter, or throw in someone who can inflict tenacity down to really make sure you reduce that turn meter and keep the tank, or keep the Rancor from moving that much, because once he starts devouring any of these Ewoks, it's going to fall apart pretty quickly. So yeah, that's it for raids really. I think basically they could be a good phases 2 or 4 team for the tank raid, or they could have some potential with soloing the Rancor. It's just a matter of testing out and seeing what we can do from there. But we've discussed how they do in Arena, we've discussed how they do in raids, we've gone over their kits. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the potential teams that you could run with Ewoks, and then I'll close out the video. The first team I have up here is the Chirpa lead with his Zeta. You have Ewok Scout, Ewok Elder, Logray, and Paplu. You have some decent damage from Scout. You have a lot of specials going in here, so there's going to be a lot of assists called in, but it's more of a defensive team because Logray is going to be helping to daze the enemy team, Elder is going to be healing and reviving, and Paplu is going to be able to taunt. Basically, he's going to be taunting a lot with his unique, and you're basically going to be using Ewok Scout to call an assist and kind of whittle down damage on the other team overall. This is about as good as you're going to get on a defensive team for Ewoks. So if you're trying to hold defense with him in Arena, this is definitely a team you could try to use, but again, like I said before, you're probably not going to have much success with Ewoks as they can fall apart pretty quickly. Next up, you have Chirpa lead with the Zeta again, Ewok Scout, Ewok Elder, Logray, and Wicket. You have Wicket and Scout in here to be dealing your main damage. This is really more of an offensive-based team, so that Logray and Elder are your support, and they're going to be backing up Scout and Wicket as they deal most of the damage against the other team. Chirpa's there to basically make sure that basics deal a lot of damage and kind of call in all the assists and give the counter, so there's a lot of countering and a lot more basic attacks. So really, you're going to be using this as a more offensive team to basically knock down the other team as fast as possible. Logray is going to have that turn meter removal and the daze on the other team. This is really going to help, especially if you have a counter-heavy team on the other side. So with this kind of team, you'll be able to counter against any debuffs that are placed on your team. You're going to be able to prevent bonus turn meter gains on the other team and really hit fast and hard with all the assists going out from this team overall. For this team, this is pretty much your best overall team to possibly use for the tank raid. You have the Chirpa with the Zeta lead again, you have Paplu, Ewok Elder, Ewok Scout, and Wicket. There's a lot of assists going on here with Ewok Scout and Wicket, and then Paplu is going to be your main tank, and he's going to be able to do the speed down on the tank for the extending of the topples. Elder is going to be able to there to help heal up from debuffs and prevent anybody from dying. He's also going to be able to revive any Ewoks that come back, plus if you revive someone, they also get called to assist. And of course you have the Chirpa lead with the basic attacks dealing more damage and the bonus turn meter. So really overall, this is a pretty decent team that you're looking at to try and use in the tank raid. And if you want to try using this team in the Rancor raid, I highly suggest you switch them out to another team like this. You have the Tebow lead here with Paplu, Logray, Scout, and Wicket. Wicket has the targeted assist that you can use to call in Tebow if he's stealth, or Scout for his turn reduction. Logray has the turn reduction on his special. Paplu has the speed down on his taunt move, so getting that helps slow down the Rancor, helps extend out the possibilities of removing turn meter. And then of course whenever Paplu loses or gains stealth, he will then dispel it and gain taunt up instead thanks to his unique. So really there's some nice stealth synergy going on there with the force taunts with Tebow. This is also something else you could try with the arena as well, as trying out a Paplu with a Tebow lead to see, if those taunts would really help with surviving on defense. Probably won't help really, but you never know. So with this team here that you've got listed, this is definitely a team you could try for soloing the Rancor because of all the turn meter removal and the slowdown and just all the synergies and assist chances you have with this team. And then finally, you have a team here. It's a little Ewok themed. You have Princess Leia in this team under a Chirpa lead with Ewok Elder, Scout, and Wicket. Princess Leia, she can do a triple tap on her basic. She's not going to gain the full benefit of the Chirpa lead, but she's still going to gain that bonus damage and turn meter whenever she uses a basic attack. She also gives crit chance up to other allies, so that's really going to help with building off the crit synergies you already have in this team. So this is something you could try out. It's probably still not going to do better than your other teams, but you never know. This could be something you could actually use in the tank raid as well. So who knows? This is something to try out with the synergies that Leia brings to this team with her crit chance up, and then all those basics she does really helps give her a decent damage boost under the Chirpa lead as it is, and then her buffs are going to help boost up the damage from the Ewok team around her. Plus Wicket's also going to be giving crit damage up on his basic attack, especially if he calls in someone to assist. So overall, there's going to be some decent crit damage up boost from the other Ewoks, plus the crit chance up from Leia. So overall, you've got a pretty decent damage dealing team here. It's definitely something you guys could look at for trying to use in the tank raid as well. But yeah, guys, that is it for this video with Theorycrafting with the Ewoks. We discussed some concerns with the Ewoks and the arena, and their reliance on critical hits and assists, and just how weak that is against the current metas that we have in the arena. And then we also talked about some of the raid abilities and how well they could do in the raids there. And we discussed some teams that you could try out with the Ewoks. So let me know what you guys think. If you have questions, feel free to ask below. Feel free to like and share this video, share and subscribe to my channel for more content in the future. And yeah, keep an eye out for more Ewok stuff in the future, because I'm definitely going to be trying out some stuff with them. Who knows what crazy things I may come up with. Maybe I'll even be able to solo a phase with them in the raids. Who knows? Anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.